There was a time when all edible plants on Earth had vanished, not because of a natural disaster, but because of mankind's own scientific experiments. What began as research turned into a catastrophe, not just for humanity, but for the entire planet. In their obsession to control nature, humans created something that ultimately turned against them. One small mistake, and that danger spread across the world like wildfire. Can humanity ever restore the ecosystem it once had? This is the story of a world on the brink of collapse. We begin with a 14-year-old girl named Vesper. She's out scavenging for food, accompanied by her drone companion. In this harsh reality, there's nothing left to eat but insects and whatever few scraps the Earth allows. After finally finding something edible, she carefully avoids the strange, mutated plants and rushes back home. Vesper lives with her paralyzed father, a man who can no longer move or even stand. He depends entirely on her to survive. Though he's physically weak, his mind is sharp, and through the drone, he guides her every move. Later, Vesper takes her drone to an old laboratory where she continues her secret research. Her mission? To unlock genetically modified seeds. Seeds created and controlled by a powerful human group known as the Citadel. These people live far away from everyone else, in abundance, never short of food. But these seeds are locked in a way that only official Citadel scientists can grow them. No one outside their walls is meant to survive. But Vesper refuses to accept that. She's determined to break their code and find a way to grow the seeds herself. Her father, however, believes it's pointless. He's convinced the seeds are impossible to unlock, that they're designed to obey only those within the Citadel. But Vesper's hope runs deeper than logic. As she steps out of the lab, Vesper notices a woman in black scavenging metal plates nearby. The woman is from the Pilgrims, a wandering group known for collecting scraps from abandoned areas. Vesper returns home to a nightmare. Her house is ransacked, her father's life support system is destroyed, and the vital fluid that keeps him alive has leaked onto the floor. She watches helplessly as he struggles to breathe. She has no choice. She decides to go to her uncle Jonas, a powerful man who has built a large community of his own. His settlement is full of children, some of whom don't even look fully human. At Jonas's place, Vesper witnesses a chilling scene. One of the synthetic beings, known simply as Jugs, tries to escape, only to be crushed by a massive iron structure. These creatures were created by the Citadel not as citizens but as workers, biologically engineered to look human, but designed only to obey. These beings, the Jugs, were never meant to have emotions or desires. They were created by the Citadel solely for labor, and when one tried to escape, Jonas ordered his own son to kill it. The boy obeyed without hesitation, brutally ending the Jug's life. That's the kind of man Jonas was: cruel, manipulative, and power-hungry. He had fathered countless children, not out of love but to harvest their blood. He sold this blood to the Citadel in exchange for favors and supplies, and now, he had similar dark intentions for Vesper. She had come to him willingly, to offer a vial of her blood in exchange for a vital medical fluid that could restart her father's life support. But this time, Jonas refused to give it. He coldly told her to return in 2 days. Frustrated, Vesper argued, and Jonas, growing furious, threw her out. But Vesper had made up her mind. That night, she secretly made her way back into Jonas's compound, through an alternate path. As she snuck deeper, she discovered something horrifying. Jonas wasn't just draining the blood of children, he was also harvesting it from the Jugs. She finally reached the room where the medical liquid was stored. Quietly, she filled a small bottle and turned to leave. That's when she noticed something else. Jonas had also been growing forbidden plants that weren't supposed to exist anymore. She grabbed a few and made her way back home. That night, she restarted her father's life support and fell asleep beside him, her mind racing with questions and possibility. The next morning, when her father saw the seed she had stolen, he panicked. He ordered her to return them immediately. But Vesper had other plans. She wanted to unlock them, to find hope in a world that had forgotten what hope looked like. Ignoring his warnings, she stepped outside, only to find an unconscious girl lying near a tree. Strange insect-like creatures were latched onto her body. Vesper, terrified but determined, put on her mask, brushed them off one by one and brought the girl home. She treated her wounds, wrapped her up, and waited. When the girl finally woke up, she was terrified. She didn't know where she was. Meanwhile, Vesper was fixing her father's machine when his voice came through the drone, urging her to send the girl away. "This one won't take you to the Citadel," he warned. They argued, and the girl heard everything. Nervous, she grabbed a knife to defend herself. Moments later, Vesper heard a scream and rushed in. That's when the girl finally spoke. Her name was Camellia, and the man traveling with her, her father, was missing and likely injured. She begged Vesper to help her find him. Vesper agreed, even though her father objected. That night, as she handed Camellia food, Camellia made her a promise. "I'll take you to the Citadel. I swear it. But when Vesper turned around to tell her father, she found him barely conscious. His condition was rapidly worsening. Without warning, Camellia used her mysterious power to knock him unconscious so he could rest. The next day, Vesper and her drone set out to search for Camelia's father. Back at the house, Camellia looked through Vesper's experiments, stunned by what she saw. This girl, this child, was trying to crack the code of life itself. It was something even Citadel scientists had failed to do. Meanwhile, Vesper finally located the crashed glider that Camellia and her father had arrived in. It had gone down somewhere deep in the forest. Her heart raced as she approached, and there he was, unconscious inside. But as she tried to open the glider, she couldn't unlock it, and then she heard a noise behind her. Her uncle Jonas had found her. He wasn't alone. As Jonas spotted Vesper's drone working perfectly, he grew suspicious. "I thought you were out of supplies," he questioned. Calmly, Vesper replied, "I found a backup." Meanwhile, Jonas's men had opened the glider. The man inside begged for help, barely able to speak, but Jonas showed no mercy. Right before Vesper's eyes, he killed the man coldly, ignoring her desperate pleas to stop. Afterwards, he turned to her and demanded, "How did you find this glider?" Vesper lied, "I was only out looking for food." Jonas didn't trust her, but he let her go, taking her and the man's body with them. Back home, Vesper didn't tell Camellia the truth. She said she hadn't found her father's glider. Camellia believed her. In fact, she trusted her so much that she even followed Vesper into her secret space, a hidden garden of living plants Vesper had nurtured. Some plants were gentle and beautiful, others were terrifying, even deadly, but all of them were alive. Later at home, Camellia asked about Vesper's mother. Vesper told her that her mother had left long ago to join a pilgrim community and never returned. In return, Vesper asked about Camelia's mother, only to learn Camellia had never seen her. Trying to change the mood, Vesper brought out a book filled with illustrations of animals, creatures that didn't exist anymore. Vesper didn't even know what they were, but Camellia did. She imitated their sounds with eerie accuracy, and both of them shared a moment of wonder. In that moment, their bond deepened. Vesper asked something she had always wanted to know. "Why did the Citadel close its gates on us?" Camellia paused and said softly, "There's not enough resources, not for everyone." The next day, Vesper returned to Jonas's zone to steal more of the life-saving liquid. But this time, Jonas was waiting for her. He didn't stop her. He invited her inside. Then, he confronted her. "Some seeds went missing recently. I think you took them. Why else would you sneak in from the back?" Vesper kept her calm. "I only came for the liquid you refused to give me last time. That's all." Jonas wasn't convinced. He ripped out a device from her drone, accusing her of theft. But Vesper acted fast. She distracted him and escaped with her drone into the woods. Jonas didn't let it go. He ordered his sons to follow her. Soon, Vesper was surrounded. They overpowered her and marked her hand with their group's symbol, a symbol of control and warning. Bruised but determined, she made it back home. She tried to repair her drone, but it wouldn't respond. Frustrated and broken, she broke down in Camelia's arms and finally told her the truth. "Your father is dead." Camellia was shattered. Tears flowed as Vesper led her to the river where his body lay. The sight of her father, lifeless still, made her cry uncontrollably. That's when something changed. Vesper realized Camellia wasn't human. She was a jug, but not just any jug, an advanced one. She had real emotion, real pain. And in the Citadel, creating jugs with feelings was strictly illegal. Her father, a rogue scientist, had created her in secret. That's why they fled the Citadel. And during their escape, they crashed. Vesper was horrified. Camellia had promised to take her and her father to the Citadel, but it was all a lie. She wasn't going back. She couldn't. Enraged, betrayed, Vesper snapped. She attacked Camellia in a storm of fury. Back home, Vesper locked her out. "Leave," she said coldly. Inside, her father spoke through the drone. "Jonas will kill you for this. You need to leave." But Vesper refused. "Not without you." She then told him the truth too. Camellia wasn't human. She was a jug. Meanwhile, alone and overwhelmed, Camellia stood by the river, ready to end it all. She raised a sharp shard to her wrist until Vesper arrived just in time to stop her. "No," she whispered. "You don't get to give up." Camellia broke down. She tried again to end her life, but Vesper wouldn't let her. Not this time. Instead, she took her back to her lab. And for the first time, they talked. Really talked. Night had fallen, and Vesper was still working in her lab, trying desperately to decode the seeds. That's when Camellia arrived quietly. Vesper asked her question, trying to understand what Camellia knew. But Camellia seemed just as lost. She admitted that Elias had never told her much. "I used to play music in the Citadel's labs," she said softly. Just then, Camellia picked up Vesper's musical instrument, and as she played the very first note, something incredible happened. The seed's DNA began to shift. Vesper stared in disbelief. Could it really be? She asked Camellia to play it again, and the change in the seed was undeniable. The unlocking code wasn't in science. It was hidden in music. The melody Camellia carried unknowingly was the key. Overwhelmed with joy, Vesper ran to her father. "I found the code," she whispered. "I can unlock the Citadel seeds. No one has to starve anymore." But her father only said one thing: "You must leave, now." Still, Vesper refused. "Not without you." She returned to her old lab to gather her discovery. Meanwhile, back at home, Camellia was alone with Vesper's father when Jonas arrived. The moment he laid eyes on Camellia, he knew she was different. "Come with me," he offered. "I'll help you." But Camellia knew better. She lied, saying the Citadel already knew she was here and would come for her soon. But Jonas laughed. "Impossible. I'm the only one in this zone with a transmitter." He stepped toward Vesper's father, ready to kill him, until Camellia stopped him. "I'll come with you," she said quietly. But as they were about to leave, Jonas grew suspicious. He checked her body and realized the truth. Camellia was not human. She was a jug. Startled, Camellia tried to release a sleeping mist from her hands. But Jonas wasn't fooled. He attacked. That's when Vesper arrived. The three of them clashed in a brutal fight. At first, Jonas overpowered them. But together, Vesper and Camellia fought back. Camellia stabbed a blade into Jonas's arm while Vesper struck from behind. Wounded, Jonas was forced into a deal. Vesper promised him something that changed everything. She revealed that she had the key to unlocking the Citadel seed. No more hunger. Ever again. Jonas, greedy and desperate, ran back to his house and used his transmitter. He contacted the Citadel and told them, "The jug you're looking for. She's here." Back at home, Vesper did the impossible. She unlocked the seed. But something outside shifted. The drone noticed it first. A glowing mist rapidly approaching their home. "Stay away from the windows," it warned. The light drew closer, until it hit their door like a wave of liquid. It wasn't light. It was a chemical mist. The drone shouted, "Cover your noses, now." Camellia and Vesper jumped up on a bench, shielding their faces. The toxic gas hissed beneath them, then stilled. Vesper's father, watching them through the drone, knew time was up. "You have to leave now. The Citadel's army is coming." Still, Vesper shook her head. "Not without you." Her father sighed gently. "I've worked with them. I'll tell them no one's here. They won't hurt me. And once they're gone, you can come back." Heartbroken but understanding, Vesper nodded. Outside, she looked at Camellia through the drone. "Take care of my daughter," her father's voice echoed softly. And then, through the woods, the Citadel's army began moving. Their first stop, Jonas's home. The moment Jonas stepped outside, he was gunned down by the Citadel soldiers without warning. Cut to Vesper's house. The soldiers had arrived. But Vesper's father had already made his decision. With one final act of sacrifice, he triggered an explosion, taking the soldiers with him. Vesper witnessed it all. She tried to run to him, but Camellia stopped her. The explosion echoed through the forest, and soon, more soldiers were on their trail. The girls started running. Two soldiers followed closely behind. They ran until they reached a zone of deadly toxic plants. Vesper warned Camellia not to touch anything. They made their way through carefully. But the first soldier wasn't as cautious. A vine wrapped around him and pulled him into a poisonous trap. He died instantly. The second soldier made it through, careful not to repeat the same mistake. Vesper and Camellia ducked into the tall grass to hide, but a strange plant let out a loud warning sound, revealing their location. The soldier spotted them. They had no choice but to fight. Vesper lunged for his gun while Camellia stabbed him in the leg. Disoriented, he stumbled. Vesper tossed his weapon into a carnivorous plant, which quickly dragged him in and ended him. They were finally safe, for now. As they walked, Camellia paused. "They're not going to leave until they take me," she said quietly. "You need to go on without me." But Vesper refused. "I'm not leaving you behind." Seeing no other way, Camellia gently touched her forehead to Vesper's and knocked her unconscious. When Vesper woke up, she was alone. Camellia had returned to the garden, the one Vesper had nurtured with her hands and her hope. But a soldier arrived. He took Camellia away. She didn't want to go, but she had no choice. If she resisted, everyone Vesper cared for would die. The next morning, Vesper stood alone in the wreckage of her home. Everything was gone. But before leaving, she knelt and planted the unlocked seeds in the earth, her final gift to the land that had once betrayed her. Just then, a few of Jonas's orphaned children arrived, scared, silent, broken. But Vesper didn't turn them away. She took their hands, and together, they began walking south. They walked for hours through ruins and memories, until finally, they reached the territory of the pilgrims, the scavengers of the wasteland, the strange community of rust and survival. Vesper looked ahead. She wasn't just carrying seeds anymore. She was carrying hope. Eventually, they reached a massive steel structure built from scrap by the pilgrim. Without hesitation, Vesper began to climb. As she rose higher and higher, a vast, wild landscape unfolded before her eyes. Raw, beautiful, and broken. In the distance stood the sealed Citadel, protected by towering glass walls, untouched by the world's suffering. Vesper reached into her pocket and pulled out the unlocked seed, her father's dream, her own struggle, and humanity's last hope. She lifted her hand high and released them into the wind. The seeds soared across the horizon, carried by the air, scattering across the land. A quiet rebellion, a new beginning. A new era had begun, and with that, the movie comes to an end. If the world gave you one last chance to start over, would you take it? Like, share, and subscribe for more powerful, emotional recaps. And hit the bell icon so you don't miss the next unforgettable story.